Hello, I am Ryan.
Hello, I am Amy. Welcome to Listen to English Podcast.
Today's episode is Stop Being So Undisciplined. Um, it appears that a lot of you out there are struggling with staying focused and achieving your goals.
Yeah.
And you know what? We completely understand. It's a common challenge.
It sure is. We all have those days where we'd rather watch another episode of our favorite show or scroll through social media, instead of tackling that important task.
Right.
But don't worry, we're here to help you break free from that cycle of procrastination and build lasting discipline.
Yeah, I'm excited to dive into this topic.
Me too.
It appears that there are so many misconceptions surrounding discipline.
Yeah.
People often think it's about being super strict and denying yourself any pleasure,
Yeah.
but that's not it at all.
You're absolutely right. True discipline is about making conscious choices that align with your values and goals.
Right.
It's about finding that sweet spot where you can enjoy life while still working towards what's important to you.
Exactly. And the best part is discipline is not something you're born with.
Right.
It's a skill you can cultivate over time with the right strategies and mindset.
Absolutely.
So let's start by understanding why people struggle with discipline in the first place.
Okay.
It appears that there are a few common culprits.
Well, first off, we live in a world of constant distractions.
Oh, yeah?
Think about it. Our phones are constantly buzzing with notifications. Social media is designed to keep us scrolling, and there's always something new to watch on streaming services.
Always something new.
Yeah.
Our attention is being pulled in a million different directions,
Right.
making it hard to stay focused on what really matters.
Exactly.
Yeah. And then there's the lack of clear goals.
Right.
If you don't know what you're aiming for,
Yeah.
it's easy to feel lost and unmotivated.
Yeah.
It's like trying to navigate a maze without a map. You'll just end up wandering around aimlessly.
That makes so much sense.
Right.
It appears that without a clear destination, it's hard to stay on track.
Exactly. Another big factor is fatigue.
Uh-huh.
When we're tired, our willpower takes a nosedive. It's like our mental energy reserves are depleted, making us more vulnerable to distractions and procrastination.
We've all been there.
Oh, yeah.
You know when you've had a long day and all you want to do is collapse on the couch and binge watch your favorite show?
I know that feeling.
Right.
And sometimes the tasks themselves can feel overwhelming.
Yeah.
It appears that when faced with a big project or a long to-do list, it's easy to feel intimidated and want to avoid it altogether.
It's like that feeling of standing at the bottom of a mountain and wondering how you'll ever reach the summit.
Right. But here's the good news. Even though these challenges are real, they can be overcome.
Absolutely.
And the key is to start small and build momentum.
Small steps.
Right. Instead of trying to overhaul your entire life overnight, focus on making small, incremental changes that you can stick with over time.
I like that.
Yeah. It's about creating a positive feedback loop where small wins lead to bigger wins, and eventually discipline becomes more of a habit than a struggle.
So true.
So let's dive into some practical strategies for building that discipline muscle.
Okay.
What are some actionable steps our listeners can take to start making progress today?
Well, one of the most effective techniques is the power of small goals.
Okay.
Studies show that instead of getting overwhelmed by a massive task, break it down into bite-sized chunks. For example, if you're trying to learn a new language, instead of aiming to study for hours on end, start with just 10 minutes a day.
10 minutes. That sounds manageable even for the busiest of people.
Right. And by setting a small, achievable goal, you're more likely to follow through. And that sense of accomplishment, even from a small win, fuels your motivation to keep going.
That's a good point.
It's like building a tower one brick at a time. Each brick represents a small step towards your ultimate goal.
I like that analogy. And since we were just talking about distractions, another crucial step is to create a distraction-free environment.
Yes.
I know this can be tough in today's hyper-connected world,
It can.
but even small adjustments can make a big difference. For instance, try turning off your phone, or at least silencing notifications while you're working on that 10-minute language lesson.
Out of sight, out of mind, right? It appears that those notifications can be so tempting.
They really can.
Yeah.
And it's not just phones, of course. It can be anything that pulls your attention away from the task at hand. The key is to be mindful of your personal distraction triggers and create strategies to minimize their impact.
I agree.
So maybe put your phone in a different room or use a website blocker to prevent yourself from getting sucked into social media.
Absolutely. And here's another tip that's super helpful. Studies show that planning is essential for staying disciplined.
Yeah?
It's like having a roadmap for your day so you're not just wandering around aimlessly.
Right. I'm a big believer in to-do lists.
Yeah.
It appears that just the act of writing things down can make them feel more manageable.
I agree. It's about creating structure and prioritizing your tasks. Even taking a few minutes each morning to jot down what you want to accomplish can make a huge difference.
Definitely. And
Yep.
don't forget about the power of rewards.
Oh, yeah.
Studies show that they can be powerful motivators. After you've completed a task, especially a challenging one, give yourself a little treat.
I like where you're going with this. This sounds like my kind of strategy.
It could be something as simple as taking a break to enjoy a cup of coffee, listening to your favorite music, or indulging in a small piece of chocolate.
Right.
The key is to find those little things that bring you joy and use them as a way to reinforce positive behaviors.
It's like giving yourself a little pat on the back for a job well done.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And those small rewards can make a big difference in terms of staying motivated and building those discipline muscles.
Absolutely.
This has been so insightful already. I'm already feeling more empowered to tackle my to-do list.
Me too. But before we move on, I just want to emphasize one more point. It appears that discipline is not about being perfect. It's about progress, not perfection.
Right.
We all have days when we slip up or fall short of our goals, and that's okay. The important thing is to be kind to ourselves, learn from our mistakes, and get back on track without getting bogged down in guilt or shame.
Right. Self-compassion is crucial. It's
Yes.
like being your own best friend, offering yourself the same understanding and encouragement you'd give to a loved one.
Well said.
It appears that it's so easy to get caught up in the pursuit of perfection that we forget to celebrate our small wins.
Absolutely. And those small wins are so important. They're the building blocks of success. They give us the motivation and momentum to keep going.
So instead of beating ourselves up for not being perfect, we need to celebrate those small steps forward.
Exactly. And remember, discipline is not about being rigid or robotic. It's about finding a balance that works for you.
So it's okay to have days where we're not as productive or disciplined as we'd like to be.
Absolutely. The key is to be kind to ourselves, learn from our mistakes, and get back on track without getting discouraged.
This has been so helpful. I'm feeling so much more motivated to tackle my to-do list now.
That's great to hear. And remember, discipline is a journey, not a destination. It's an ongoing process of learning, growing, and evolving.
So it's okay to stumble along the way as long as we keep getting back up and moving forward.
Exactly. And that brings us to another important aspect of building discipline: self-care.
Oh yes, self-care is so important. Tell us more about that.
Well, when we take care of our physical, emotional, and mental well-being, we have more energy and focus to devote to our goals.
It's like filling up our own cup first,
Yeah,
so we have something to pour from.
exactly. It appears that self-care is not selfish. It's essential. It's about recognizing that we can't pour from an empty cup.
So what are some examples of self-care activities that can help us build discipline?
Well, it really depends on the individual,
Yeah.
but some common examples include getting enough sleep, eating a healthy diet, exercising regularly, spending time in nature, connecting with loved ones, and engaging in activities that bring you joy.
It's about making time for those things that recharge your batteries and help you feel your best.
Exactly. And remember, self-care doesn't have to be complicated or time-consuming. It can be as simple as taking a few minutes each day to meditate or listen to your favorite music.
It's about incorporating small acts of self-care into your daily routine.
And when you make self-care a priority, you'll find that you have more energy and focus to devote to those tasks that require discipline.
This is all making so much sense. I'm realizing that discipline is not just about willpower. It's about creating a supportive environment for ourselves, both internally and externally.
You're absolutely right. It's about setting ourselves up for success by removing distractions, managing our energy levels, and nurturing our well-being.
And when we do those things, discipline becomes much easier and more enjoyable.
Exactly. It's no longer a struggle, it's a choice. A choice to live a life that is aligned with our values and goals.
I love that. And I think that's a great place to pause for now. Join us for part 3 of this episode, where we'll delve even deeper into strategies for building lasting discipline and creating a life you love.
I can't wait.
Welcome back, everyone. We're in the final stretch of our, deep dive into discipline, and I'm so excited to wrap up this conversation on a high note.
Me too. We've covered so much ground already, from, understanding the root causes of our struggles to exploring practical strategies for overcoming procrastination and boosting motivation.
It appears that one of the key takeaways for me has been this shift in perspective, from viewing discipline as a rigid set of rules to seeing it as a journey of self-discovery and empowerment.
Absolutely. It's not about deprivation or punishment, but rather about making conscious choices that align with our values and goals.
And speaking of choices, I think it's important to acknowledge that building discipline is an ongoing process. It's not something we achieve overnight and then check off our list.
That's so true. It's a continuous journey of learning, growing, and adapting. It appears that one of the most crucial elements in this journey is flexibility.
Flexibility. I like that. Tell us more about why it's so important.
Well, life is full of surprises, right? Things don't always go according to plan. And when that happens, it's important to be able to adjust our approach rather than getting discouraged and giving up.
So it's like having a plan B or maybe even a plan C in our back pocket.
Exactly. It's about being adaptable and resilient,
Yeah.
being able to roll with the punches and find new ways to stay on track, even when faced with unexpected challenges.
And I think that ties in beautifully with the concept of self-compassion that we've been talking about.
Absolutely. It's about being kind to ourselves when we inevitably stumble or fall short of our expectations. It appears that we're all human, we all make mistakes, and that's perfectly okay.
Instead of beating ourselves up, we need to treat ourselves with the same understanding and grace that we would offer a close friend.
Precisely. It's about acknowledging that slip-ups are a natural part of the process and using them as opportunities for learning and growth.
And that leads us to another important point that I think is worth emphasizing. Discipline is not about perfection.
You're so right. It's about progress, not perfection. It's about striving to be better than we were yesterday, not about attaining some unattainable ideal.
It appears that it's about celebrating our small wins, acknowledging how far we've come and focusing on the journey rather than the destination.
Exactly. And when we embrace that mindset, we take the pressure off ourselves and make the process of building discipline much more enjoyable.
And speaking of enjoyment, I think it's important to remember that discipline doesn't have to be a drag. It can actually be a source of great satisfaction and fulfillment.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
When we make choices that align with our values and goals, we feel a sense of purpose and accomplishment that's incredibly rewarding.
It's like we're tapping into our inner strength and realizing that we have the power to create the life we want.
Exactly. And that sense of empowerment is what makes discipline so transformative. It allows us to break free from old patterns and habits and step into a life that is more aligned with our true selves.
And that brings us back to the importance of connecting with our why, as we discussed earlier.
Absolutely. When we have a clear understanding of why we're doing something, it fuels our motivation and makes it easier to stay disciplined even when things get tough.
It's like having that North Star to guide us on our journey, reminding us of what's truly important to us.
And as we continue on this journey of building discipline, it's important to remember that we don't have to do it alone.
Oh, that's such a good point. We talked about the power of accountability partners and support systems earlier, but I think it's worth reiterating.
Absolutely. Surrounding ourselves with people who encourage and support us can make a world of difference. It appears that whether it's a friend, a family member, a mentor, or a coach, having someone to cheer us on and hold us accountable can help us stay motivated and on track.
And it's not just about receiving support, it's also about giving support.
That's right. When we help others on their journey, it reinforces our own commitment to discipline and creates a sense of community and shared purpose.
So it's a win-win situation.
Absolutely. And I think that's a beautiful way to sum up this entire conversation. Discipline is not just about achieving our goals. It's about becoming the best versions of ourselves and supporting others in doing the same.
That's a powerful message, and I think it's the perfect note to end on. Thanks for joining us on this journey into discipline. Remember, small steps lead to big changes, and we're here to support you every step of the way. Until next time, stay focused and keep striving for that best version of yourself.
Absolutely.
If you enjoyed this episode, please like and subscribe. It really helps our channel grow and reach more English learners like you. By subscribing, you'll never miss a new episode, and by liking the video, you're letting us know you want more helpful content. Thank you for your support. It means so much to us.